Does anyone ever get the urge to just draw a beard on their face? Or is that just me? So what I'm going to do is turn this into a much more masculine face and show you how I do it. Sometimes when you're naturally born with masculine features, then great, go you androgynous bastards. But if you have the literal face of a pixie like me, it's much harder to make it look like a man's. So there are definitely a few tricks you can learn, and I will teach them to you because I'm a nice person. Trick number 1, contouring. For contouring, it's best to use a really cool toned powder. So don't use a bronzer, either use like a grey eyeshadow or like a really cool toned contour powder. You're trying to create shadows on your face, so you want to use something that has a cool undertone. Something like this would work fine. Masculine faces tend to be much more elongated and much more angular, or at least the one I'm going for today. So to do that, we need to work on a few key areas: the temples, the brow bone, the jawline, and other places which I will remember as we go along. So if you start off by the temples, this is your temple. Just shade it in. Men typically have a much more protruding brow bone. So to create the illusion of that, we're going to create a shadow under here, and we're going to create a shadow up here. Okay, so can you see with the shadow here and the shadow under here, this point here is coming forward. I'm switching to a smaller brush so I can work on the eye sockets. What I do is I tend to make my eye sockets look deeper so that the brow comes out a bit more as well. So I just do this by putting eyeshadow where your crease is and then extending this to kind of meet the shadow that you put here. Then we're going to move on to the cheekbones. So female cheekbones, what is gender? Feminine cheekbones tend to be cut more of a straight line across the jaw, whereas masculine cheekbones kind of do this weird angular thing where they come here and then they go down. So you've got to try and work with the contour and do it in a way that doesn't look ridiculous. Story of my life. So start underneath the cheekbone. You can feel where your cheekbone is with your finger, and when you get to about here, stop and use a really light hand and just bring it down a little bit. You see the difference? So I have a short little face and I want to elongate it, so I'm going to use my chin to do that. So I'm going to contour around my chin in these two spots here. This bit isn't going to matter too much if you're then drawing a beard on top of that, because you're going to cover it up, but for education's sake I'm going to do it anyway. Then you have to look at your jawline, try and make it more angular. You can do this by placing a shadow right here and here. You can then use highlighting to marry with that. So get a concealer that's a few shades lighter than your skin tone, which is quite hard when you have a skin tone like mine. It's a pale Irish skin, don't you know? So where I want parts of my face to protrude out, I'm going to use the concealer. So par exemple, my brow bone, my cheekbones, and my chin. I just remembered a contour I forgot to do. If you're not, again, if you're not got a beard on your masculine character, give them a butt chin, because butt chins are fun and I like them. I'm also gonna contour my nose just to be a bit more angular. The next thing you're gonna do is draw on some eyebrows. It really helps for this stage if you haven't plucked your eyebrows in like a year. So I want my eyebrows here to be much straighter than they are, so I'm going to focus on filling in that bit and also bringing them further in to the bridge of my nose. For this I'm using like an angular brush and like an eyebrow pomade, but you could also just use an eyebrow pencil. I'm just trying to use like hair-like strokes kind of, and just work with the natural fuzz of my eyebrow to make it thicker. Okay, so, you know, now you got some thick ass eyebrows. Obviously the thing that's going to make the most difference is the facial hair. So what I'm going to start off with is a stippling brush is really good for making stubble. I'm going to use the same eyebrow pomade I use for my eyebrows, and I'm going to smash it onto this brush. Follow the shadows you created here and the ones you created along your cheekbone. And this is also really good to put down the neck, so beards typically don't just stop at your jawline, they come down your neck, so this is a good way to do that. When you're putting this onto your neck, you have an opportunity to create shadow on here as well. So men have Adam's apple. Why are they called Adam's apples? Why does Adam have an apple? Adam and Eve. Gotcha. Why does it have to be Adam? Why can't it be Greg? Greg's apple. So, create the illusion of an Adam's apple by leaving a space in the middle where one may or may not be. I'm purposely avoiding this jawline area here because I want this to be lighter so that it stands out more and it creates more of a contrast where the shadow is. And then put some stubble up here if you wanna. Then I'm gonna get a brush that I do not have in front of me. 1 second. Then I'm gonna get a brush, which I now have in front of me, and I'm gonna get black paint and white paint. Black paint and white paint. You could use an eyeliner for this very easily. I find it easier with paint because I paint all the time, and I just figured it was a no-brainer if I can already paint to just use paint. So this is water-based paint. Water-based paint is better because it dries matte, and it also dries properly, so it's not going to slide off your face like oil-based paint would. The biggest tip I can give you when trying to draw a beard on is use a reference. Like, if you don't know what a beard looks like, Google one. I've got a reference up here. It's Zayn Malik. He's a good looking guy. It will make it so much easier if you have a picture of the sort of the way the beard grows on the face. Otherwise it's just a mess. It's a mess. The second tip I have for you is choose a god and pray to it, because this could go either way. Start along the jawline because it's easier, and if you fuck up it doesn't matter as much. Use a really, really light hand. Do not use anything more than a tickle, because you will mess up, I promise. Don't worry about building up depth yet, because you have to do this in layers if you want it to look halfway convincing. Follow the lines of the contour you did earlier. Start along your cheekbone. I know it's tempting to just go straight in here and start drawing in your brush strokes, but it works better if you start with where you originally placed your stubble and then work outwards from there. When you get up to here, feel free to draw in some sideburns if you don't have them, because sideburns are fun. And then start on your moustache. The moustache is quite a good opportunity to change the shape of your lips. So I have quite a pointy top lip, and I want to change that, so I'm going to overlap some of the brush strokes onto my top lip, and it will give the illusion that the moustache is going over your lip and also make your lip smaller. You can extend your moustache outside your lip and then bring it down to join this stuff here. And then, like I said, leave this gap here clear, because for some reason that's how a lot of beards grow. Take it up with someone who has one in real life. And you can also put facial hair underneath your chin as well. And again, make sure you take whatever you're doing on your face down your neck, so down here. And add some here on the side of your neck, because for some reason people with facial hair get that too. So now you've got a base layer down and it's all looking pretty grey, then you can start darkening up the areas that you want to. So that would be under the chin to make your jawline stand out more. So I've started doing it here already. You can see the difference between that side and that side. And then also darken under here and under your lip and on top of your lip. Let's go. Fun just fact, this side of my beard will always be shitter than this side of the beard because I can't see out this eye without my glasses, so that's fun. Jess can't see for shit, but she can see that it is not good, but it's okay, because crappy webcams discover all sins. And then a step I do just because I've got brunette hair and brunette eyebrows and a grey toned beard. I'm going to use some bronzer to warm it up. I mean, technically I should have used brown paint, but I don't have any. So we're going to do this instead. I mean, that's pretty much it. Another thing you can do, which is handy, use paint in your hair somewhere. So I usually paint in some hair here. Don't ask me why. It just works, kind of. And then I also bring down my hairline a little bit here. The other thing I do is use contacts to make my eyes look smaller. Use clean hands, which I do not have. Do not do as I do. Just for comparison's sake, can you see how that contact makes this eye look smaller and more squinty? It's also because I'm squinting because I just poked myself in the eye, but you know, if you're a person with boobs and you want to get rid of them, use a binder. I'm a person with boobs, but they're not very big, so I just leave them there. A couple of last tips is actually how you use your body and your face, because me doing like this is not that convincing. Also, your posture makes a big difference, so I'm quite a petite person with little shoulders, but if I hunch and I bring my shoulders forward, it gives me the appearance of a broader set of shoulders. So the difference between this and doing this is like that. Ta-da! I am now a true bisexual and I have mastered both opposite ends of the gender spectrum. But being bisexual has nothing to do with it, it's just sticking around with some makeup. Story of my life. Hope you enjoyed it!
Get jazzy on. I'm that flight that you get on. International.
No, we're not doing that again.